Hi, I'm Benjamin. I'm the founder of Cleanse Club, and I'm joined today with Cameron, who is our health coach. So the past few months, we have been developing a community-based program, which you're seeing this video on the landing page right now. So we're just going to go through in this video what this community is all about, the principles that it encompasses, and what you can expect inside. And Cam has done a lot of work on one of his programs. Do you want to start by talking a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the first course that I've created for this online community, it's called The Art of Conscious Living. And I wanted to take a look at how we relate to the topic of health and fasting, especially because most of us, we've come from a place where we're experiencing disease, low energy, mental health disorders, basically like all the symptoms of the lack of health. And we're also coming from a place of ignorance where we're taught to live in a particular way, and going through this journey to discover what's true, it can be easy to fall into beliefs of believing something's right and something's wrong, and ultimately ending up kind of living in fear of health, rather than moving in a direction where we're more like liberated. And it's so easy to jump into fasting and try to get quick results. We want to see our bodies feeling clearer, minds clearer, but we haven't looked at our belief systems, we haven't looked at ourselves, and ultimately we don't end up with lasting change, because like the fasting gives us short-term results, but then we haven't looked at why we were living in a different way. And our habits around alcohol, smoking, eating heavy, dense foods, takeaways, deodorants, perfumes, all of the stuff that feels so normal growing up that when you take a look at is toxic, it's hard to let go of these things. And so we have to really like understand who we are and how we're living to make progress. And that starts with ourselves before we dive into all the technical ocean of health and wellness. So.
Yeah, I think it's when you start going down this pathway of looking at alternative ways to heal yourself, you're bombarded with a whole lot of information. There's millions and millions of influencers telling you different things. Some people tell you to eat vegetarian, plant-based. Others tell you that you need to eat raw meat or carnivore. And there's just a whole lot of concepts and ideas floating in this space. You know, we live in an age where lack of information isn't the problem. It's too much information, and sifting through and finding truth is the hardest part of all of this. So I think instead of us just telling you that this is the way, you must eat like this, you must do these protocols, what we're trying to do in this community is facilitate an environment that allows people to have the tools and resources, but also encourages everyone to think for themselves and to come up with their own conclusions, and to do it in a way that you're experimenting and you're seeing direct results, rather than just believing in fairy tales or believing in the words coming out from somebody else, actually seeing the results. Yeah, so when I first started on this pathway of detoxing and trying to come into a more balanced space within myself, that was the exact problem that I faced. Just so much information, following so many different trends and not really getting anywhere. And this program that you have developed, The Art of Conscious Living, which is the first program that's live inside the course right now. There'll be many more programs that are planned and will be built out, which are in the process. But the whole aspect behind this course is really that grounding aspect of giving people the tools to go inside their own mind, to see what patterns and how they're thinking and how that affects their external reality. It's not really about telling you must do this, X, Y, Z. It's giving them the tools to think for themselves.
Yeah, I think I'd also like to add, like if you go on Google right now and search up detoxing, fasting, anything in the alternative health space, anything natural, you'll find that the first thing that pops up is an AI summary basically saying that none of this stuff has any scientific evidence, and it's all pseudoscience. And like, say, if we've grown up believing in, well, for our society is built on scientific knowledge and advances in technology. So we're used to going to a doctor, we're used to listening to health experts, and it's really challenging when the mainstream narrative around chronic health conditions doesn't line up with the truth. And it's like, if you've tried medications, which often get prescribed, you've tried like elimination diets, and you find that you're not getting anywhere. Often it's because it's just we're so used to believing in an external authority that it doesn't even occur to us that we can discover within ourselves, listen to our body, get internal guidance that leads us in the right direction. And so it's scary to leave a paradigm of solely listening to what the first Google article says, or even what AI, ChatGPT, Grok, what these things say, because all these models, say for AI, is based on what are the top search results, and the top search results are government websites that are looking at medical authorities which study chronic disease and acute forms. And all the funding for research is often looking at how to solve disease by acute methods of creating drugs. It's a very risk mitigation based model, and it doesn't take into account natural principles or the laws of how we've evolved as humans. So they're not seeing the bigger picture. They're so zoomed in on fighting a disease. And their funding is based on creating drugs. And so it's all kind of propped up in the same kind of system that no one's going to tell you the natural healing methods because it's not profitable. So that's kind of why it's like, well, we're here with our own personal results of transformation.
That's the key, the results.
And that's what's driving this. Is if we didn't have benefits coming from fasting or eating healthy or eliminating toxins, we wouldn't be talking about it. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, a lot of those drugs and pills that are developed, and just the whole idea of the traditional medical system, it's all about symptom navigation, and they're focusing entirely on symptoms while completely ignoring the root cause. And the funny thing is, the symptoms are very often the way the body is trying to naturally get the toxins out. Like when you're sick and you start vomiting, you get hot sweats and all these things, you can take a pill to stop the vomiting, but your body needs to vomit because that's how it's purging the toxin. So when we look at nature, nature always has a solution for us, and often that solution is challenging to navigate. Like it's not as easy as taking this magic pill that's going to apparently heal you when all it's doing is addressing the symptoms. And yeah, the results speak for themselves. Cam and I are both on a juice cleanse at the moment, and you're showing me a photo of some mucoid plaque that you eliminated. And if you search in what mucoid plaque is right now on Google, it will come up basically telling you that it doesn't exist, that it's some nonsense thing. But then when you pass it through your body and you have photo evidence to prove it, it demolishes that paradigm that these articles on Google and ChatGPT and all these things are true.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like what's probably drawing you towards fasting is the fact that you've heard about people that have, well, just stories. It's just stories and results more than anything. It's like the more stories we hear, and there's more science that comes out about the different processes and mechanisms of fasting, it's kind of pushing further and further in this direction.
Fasting in itself is a very simple concept. You essentially don't take, I mean, people define fasting in different ways. Some people would even tell us that juice fasting isn't an actual fast, but I would consider it a fast. But fasting for me is essentially not consuming solid matter, giving your digestive system a rest so it can focus on rest and recovery and repair, which happens more so when you're sleeping. So if you do some Google searches and you do get the traditional information coming to you, what it will say is essentially fasting and juice fasting there's merit. It will tell you there's some merit there, but it will also tell you that your body has all of your internal organs, your liver, your kidneys, your colon, which is built to detoxify. So it's basically saying that fasting is unnecessary because your body can already handle it. But we live in a world today where we're bombarded with an unprecedented amount of synthetic, unnatural, toxic compounds, to a point where these bodies have not been designed to filter through this insane amount of toxins that are coming to us. So fasting essentially gives the real basic unscientific answer is fasting gives your body a chance to rest. Instead of using all its energy to digest these heavy, complex compounds, it can instead divert that energy into clearing out compounds within the body. And if you want to go into more scientific lens, you can talk about things like autophagy, which is the scientific name for the bodily process where instead of consuming external solid matter, it begins consuming all the old, dead, and dead matter inside the system. And this is a scientific documented process that you can actually find in articles. So fasting is the body's natural answer to cleansing itself out. But there's a lot of other aspects involved with it, and fasting should be prescribed on an individual basis. You wouldn't prescribe a long fast to everybody, and you wouldn't prescribe a short fast to everybody. Perhaps somebody would suit a juice fast more if they're trying to really still have bowel movements and eliminate a lot of toxin overload. You could use a water fast for different things. So what we're trying to do with Cleanse Club is create an individual prescription based on your experience and where you're at in your own journey. Yeah, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, and I think just also like just Cleanse Club being a space to normalize fasting and to take this like little idea, which is, oh yeah, it's just not eating for a few days, and kind of taking it and putting it in like, what is the bigger picture that it sits within? Because it's so easy to kind of look at fasting in this like very limited way and not understand the bigger picture. Like say for example, with toxins like heavy metals, pesticides, microplastics, parasites, all of these things that we don't observe it in our direct experience. It's too small to see. And we also just see the outside of our body. But the exposure over time is accumulating and sitting in the body. But how do we know about this? It's like looking at when we have like headaches, brain fog, like mental health disorders, disease. If we look at all of these insomnia, if we look at all of these symptoms that is occurring in the body is reacting to something that's occurring within. And say the whole model of looking at disease, it's just identifying symptoms and how symptoms show up in the body. But if you look at it more holistically, it's like, well, the body is out, it's like dis-ease, there's something out of order. And in order to bring the body back into order, we have to start like eliminating these toxins. And so it's often, it feels like a big leap to jump from toxins in the body to feeling great, but it's through lived experience. It's through fasting and then through detox protocols. Like I've done heavy metal detoxes, parasite cleanses, coffee enemas. I've built like a near infrared sauna, and all of these things, they don't provide like an instant cure, but it's a lifestyle shift that is slowly encouraging the body to release more and more, which gets the body more efficient, more adapted, and it clears out all of the stuff that is like deeply stored in the tissues. Like say heavy metals, for example, they're sequestered into the tissues. They bind to sites where minerals once were, like just due to like a lack of minerals and the heavy metals exposed in the body. But if our body is constantly like adapting and keeping up to just surviving on our usual diet, our usual lifestyle, toxins coming in, it doesn't have the opportunity to clear anything out. So it's like, yeah, sure, we're digesting like food through our body, but we'll never get to basically like what's causing like the inflammation like deep in the organs and the tissues. And so, yeah, I think if we talk about like some of the results we've had, Because like for me personally, I think when it comes to fasting, it comes to these alternative stuff, it's hard to believe in things that aren't validated through science. And I think direct experience is basically the way forward. Like this is why I created the path of, or the art of conscious living, was to create a context and a basis to investigate and go through our healing journey in a direct experience basis. So say like, as I went through all of these protocols, I, like by that time I'd spent years trying out supplements and like herbs and shifting my diet around. And I got attuned to how like what I was consuming would shift how I'd feel. And it would literally be as a direct experience thing. Like, it's like, how sensitive is my perception? How aware am I? How does my body feel? Does my body feel heavy? Is my mind clear? And it's really hard to describe, but the better I felt, the more I cleared out of my body, the more present I felt. I feel like, say now, I just feel like a lot more transparent. And I mean, they say there's things like I still drink like too much coffee and that gives me headaches in the morning. But overall at a baseline, like I'd say my well-being has just continued to go up because I'm no longer experiencing the heaviness in my body that I would wake up with. And that's the thing we don't even notice. Like what feels like me or what feels like us in the sense of like who we carry around as ourselves often is the feeling of all of this inflammation in our body. We just get used to it, so we don't recognize it. So it's only after doing like cleansing for a few fasting for a few days that it starts to become obvious. And then this is actually getting through those initial detox reactions, like a lot of symptoms that pop up. But having moments of having a higher degree of mental clarity and energy, just it sells the whole process. And once you get a taste of feeling better, you realize there's something to it. And then it just becomes a process of like, well, if I'm feeling better, why do I feel better? What can I do more of? And the journey just perpetuates itself. So
that's one of the biggest problems, because as soon as we're born into this world, we're at the whim of what our parents are feeding us or what the environment is giving to us. So we don't even know what it feels like when we are cleared of all the clutter, when we're not filled with all of these toxins. And that's the first thing people start noticing when they hop on this journey is that sensitivity. So you can really design your own program based on this intuitive sensitivity. You can go into your body when you ingest a certain food, feel how that food is being processed within your body. How does that feel inside of you? Because you have this newfound sensitivity. And that's really the key aspect, because that allows you to confront your own truth through direct experience, not through what we're telling you or through what someone else is telling you, but based on your own experience. And for myself, before this journey, I was 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was living a life much different than what I am today, drinking a lot, partying a lot, doing drugs, doing all this stuff. I was at university, I had a good job, I was making good money. I was doing all of these things that the world told us is fulfilling, it's what you should do, you're young, you got to live out these experiences, all these things. But every morning I was waking up, not wanting to wake up, not wanting to start the day, because I had no purpose, I had no reason to wake up. My reason was based on what society had told me to go and make money and maybe go get married and start a family, all this stuff, which I'm not saying go and get married and have a family, that's great. But it was only when I came to the very end of that, when, I don't know, the intuition inside of me finally bubbled up and I finally listened to it. And I started asking myself, if I'm waking up every day, not wanting to live the day ahead, what even is the point of this? And I felt like I had taken what society had told me to do to the absolute extreme. So the only solution that I could come up with was to start trying to find a different path. And it was in that intuitive insight where, my whole life changed. I used all my money, bought a camper van, started traveling around South Island on a surf trip, spent a lot of time by myself, which allowed me to get more sensitive to my own energy body and understand how toxins and how these things that we're consuming, including the content, not just the physical stuff, it's affecting our nervous systems. And it was from that journey that I started developing my own philosophies, using what other people had said, but also basing it on my own internal compass, on my own truth of how it actually just made me feel. And then from that is where Cleanse Club was birthed. And yeah, so our whole goal with all of this, our whole goal with Cleanse Club is to bring you in touch with your own internal compass, to turn you into your own guru. So you don't have to listen to anybody. It's all based on how whatever you're doing is making you feel. And we need to remove a lot of that gunk that's inside of us that has accumulated so you can regain that sensitivity with your body. And that's what this community is all about. We're going to be sharing a lot of different detox protocols, what binders to use, what different fasting protocols you can use, what diets might work. But at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is create a community of strong, sovereign individuals capable of thinking for themselves and supporting one another on this journey, because this path it's a different path to what society prescribes. And within this, it can make people following it can create isolation because it's not the norm. So we want Cleanse Club to be that space where you can get that social fulfillment. So you don't feel so isolated, because that's what happened to me. I was like so isolated, just full lone wolfing it for many years. And I think Cleanse Club can really be a space, where there's just a supportive community of somewhat like-minded individuals, not necessarily like-minded, like you have to think this way, you have to eat this diet, but just sovereign people that are on a path of developing and finding their own truth. And we're trying to provide the models and the frameworks and the recipes and the way to eat that might help you on that journey.
Yeah. And I think for sure with the community aspect, just having being able to like speak to different individuals, like questions, resources, all of these different perspectives from different like people's journeys will come together and like provide new insights. Like like Ben and I don't claim to know everything. We're students as much as teachers. And I mean, I just find it interesting to like learn more from other people's perspectives. Like say 2.5 years ago, when I started working with Ben, he was drinking like spring water all the time. And also it was the first
Shout out Tongariro spring water.
Yeah.
Been living on that, man.
And also like just starting this job like juicing with like organic fruit and veg. And at that time, like I knew about organic and I knew about spring water, but I knew it was this whole like California trend thing, but I didn't really get what it was. And it took like a long time for me to wrap my head around how drinking spring water is any different than tap water. Because I was like, fluoride, chlorine, it's only small amounts, it doesn't mean that much. And it just took like a long time with like research. Well, Ben's just drinking this, he's got his own beliefs. And then I want to investigate, I want to know what's true about this. And so I look into water and find out that like the untested aspect of water is its energetics, and like spring water comes from the earth, which is exposed to like the elemental cosmic forces, which structures it in a particular way. So there's a vitality to water that you get at source that you don't get through like tap water, which is like processed, the structure is broken down, and then our body has to work to assimilate that water. So like having like high quality water sources like improves the energetics in the body, and then that aligns with like health and detoxing. So we all kind of we'll end up coming to similar conclusions through different paths. Like I'm very rational and I like to look at things existentially, or what's the nature of this thing? Like what is true about it? And by looking at all these different perspectives, like the natural, intellectual, rational, spiritual, because like all the perspectives line up, and there's so many perspectives to truth, and our own unique path will dictate, it will determine what we value and how we see the world. So being around like a group of people that will have different perspectives on the matter entirely will help clarify why we're we're detoxing or fasting. What is health? Like like the art of conscious living, it's all around probing into this idea of like what is health. And funnily enough, it doesn't actually tell you what health is. It takes you deeper and deeper into investigating within yourself what health is and how that transformation takes place. But because we're all on a unique journey, health is going to look different. We're going to see it through a different lens and think about it differently. Yeah,
and there's every sort of traditional or the oldest wisdoms all talk about everybody having a different constitution, having a different makeup. Whether it's Ayurveda that talks about being Pitta, Kapha, or Vata, and based on your individual makeup, there is a pathway that would suit you best. So there is no one size fits all. There's no one prescription that we can give to everybody. The only real prescription that we can give to you is to clear out enough of the internal gunk to where you become sensitive enough and you can use your own body as the experiment and you learn from your own experience, and it's entirely based on how you feel. Yeah,
that's a good way to state it.
Yeah, I think, is there anything you want to close with?
I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot of it. Yeah.
There's a lot more that will be unfolding in the very near future. We're working on a lot of new courses, but if this relates... That's one point I'd like to bring up. So I've talked a bit about the art of conscious living, which is basically the most basic fundamental awareness-based course. But with the launch of the community, like we're going to be getting onto the fasting and detox protocols. We're going to be creating courses which comprehensively cover all of the stuff that we're talking about today. Like we're talking from the perspective of knowing all this stuff, but being able to like teach and provide the information which backs our perspective is going to help it make a lot more sense. Fasting 101 might be the name of the next course. But more and more courses are going to come out with time. The more we work with other people and understand what everyone's looking for, and the more that we learn ourselves, we'll create more refined courses. Yeah, and we're not just throwing these courses together like overnight using AI, all that stuff. These courses take a lot of time, a lot of effort. The Art of Conscious Living, which is live now, took many, many months to finally come out with. So we're not just slapping things together to try and sell something, It's like we're trying to put together the deepest essence of truth that we possibly can, while also opening the space for your own experience. And it's a very complicated process. But I think one of the key aspects of this whole thing is the community aspect, and being in a community with people who are brave enough to attempt to become their sovereign selves. And all about self-empowerment ultimately. So if this resonates with you, we'd love to see you inside. Thank you.
Thanks.
That was good. I think that camera just died as well. I hope it saved it.